In this episode, we do our usual rundown of games played. We talk about what board games has contributed to my life, and we end the show with some feedback from the meeple. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 16 of On Deck, a podcast about my tabletop gaming journey in the Philippines. If it's your first time listening in, welcome to the show. My name is Glory and I host this podcast to help you curate your collection and find the next game you'll love. I also run the hobby Instagram account, The Boardgamer PH, where I review games and talk about my gaming sessions with friends. So welcome back everyone. This February, I was again traveling, this time for our firm trip. So we went to Rome. We spent a couple of days there. And of course, when you are traveling, you want to bring some games, right? Ako lang ba yun? So refer to episode 7 for my favorite travel games. But this time, I wanted to focus on small card games because our whole trip was jam-packed and we won't have a lot of free time, but we had a long layover in Dubai. And so I wanted to bring small card games that I can play with Blue, or if a couple more people want to join us, then I have room to accommodate them. I really wanted to get L.L.A.M.A for this trip, but it was not yet available here. So I brought Fox in the Forest for 2-player action, Love Letter, Spy, a micro game I got in Target before, and Captive from some solo gaming. There. And I also played Raiders of the North Sea through the iPad on our way back, and it was a really good implementation of the board game. So I highly suggest that app if you're alone and you want to get some worker placement action done, then you should definitely check out Raiders of the North Sea on iOS. Also, you know this about me, I love visiting an FLGS whenever I'm out of the country. So aside from getting games that are not yet available here, I like seeing the board game community in another country. So my favorite so far was Next Gen Games in L.A. because the store was packed. It was packed. There was also a good one in Hawaii, but it wasn't as packed as Next Gen Games. And here, you could see everyone was just enjoying. Everyone was friendly. Even their parking lot was full. So it was a really good vibe. And I really like seeing that in other countries. However, this time, I wasn't able to go to an FLGS because it was out of the way. And the near one was closed on Sunday, which was our free day. And the only time that I could visit because Rome was in their winter season. So all the stores were closed by 7:30. And our tour ended at around 8 p.m. So I really couldn't get to an FLGS. It didn't seem like they had a lot of English games. I would always get in touch with the FLGS before visiting because I wanted to make sure they were open. I was considering getting Aquatica and Blitzkrieg. And although they already had it, they kept on telling me that it's language independent. So you already know that it's not in English. And that's to be expected since there is no English release yet for these games. But I also wanted to get something by an Italian designer. And they kept on telling me that it was in a language independent. So I knew there were no English games available. But that being said, the ones I contacted were super duper friendly. And if you have more time and you find yourself in Rome, I do definitely recommend checking out Strategia, Tactica, and Avalon Roma. So Avalon Roma is near the Vatican and Strategia is near the other side, so around the Colosseum area. So I definitely recommend checking out FLGS when you're out of the country. But unfortunately, this time I wasn't able to do so. So before we go to our first real segment, I just wanted to quickly mention On Deck's Facebook account, which I don't think a lot of people are aware of yet. So far, people have been getting in touch with me through Instagram, but if you do not have IG, Facebook is also the easiest way to get in touch with me, either through the comments or by direct message. Also, I post my mini reviews there, which I also post in IG, but I also post it on Facebook. So if you don't have Instagram, do check out the Facebook account of On Deck. You also get first notification on new On Deck episodes. And best of all, giveaways are done through the Facebook account. So it's www.facebook.com/theboardgamerph or just search On Deck with a Board Gamer PH on Facebook. So, with all those announcements done, let's now go to our first segment, What Have I Been Playing? So we're going to do something different for the What Have I Been Playing segment this week. We're going to do it from my least favorite to my most favorite one. I mentioned before that all the games in this segment will be games that I liked, because I want to respect your time by only talking about games I personally think are worth listening to. So it should be worth your listening time. But now, at least, you'll have a sense of what I like the most out of the games I recently played. So let's start. First game is Mental Blocks. Mental Blocks is a cooperative pattern building game for 2 to 9 players from Pantasaurus Games. In Mental Blocks, you and your team are basically trying to complete a puzzle using foam shapes. This puzzle is a particular arrangement of these foam pieces according to shapes, sizes, and colors. The twist is that you only see one perspective of the puzzle, and you do not know whether this perspective is from the top or one of the sides. You can also see a sort of 3D view without colors. You need to work together with everyone to solve the puzzle before the time runs out, and that's it. So there are 60 different puzzles in the game. It gets progressively harder. One part of the card is a family mode, and the other part is a challenge mode, which is obviously meant to be more difficult. For me, if you're already familiar with the game, you can also try the traitor mechanic, where there's one person who knows the correct arrangement and does not want the team to complete it, obviously, because traitor sila. And you'll think it's easy for the traitor, but it's actually not, because you usually get one side of the puzzle, right? So the traitor has to pretend that they are also completing a particular side. So they need to maneuver it in such a way that the person holding the correct perspective, or not the non-traitor perspective, does not suspect them. It's actually quite interesting for both sides, and I think that if you're more familiar with the game, then this is where the game will really shine. This reminds me a little bit of Cryptid because of the incomplete information, but the thinking is different. In Cryptid, it's really more of deduction, and there's no traitor, right? It's a competitive game, so you all want to win. You all want to be the first one to find the monster. Here, you're working together, and you also need to be more of a visual person to translate the 2D card into the 3D puzzle in front of you. So they also made sure that this game is highly, highly replayable. There are 60 puzzles, but I think the experience in itself is finite, especially if you have the same game group. And even when you're already playing with the traitor mechanic, the level of thinking and the visualization is the same. I also think that it's quite expensive for what it is. It's around 2,200, but it's just foam pieces and a bunch of cards. And for 2,200, it's the same price as, let's say, Azul, Sagrada. I find it hard to justify it because of the level of game inside. But I still talked about it, meaning that I still liked it. And it's a game that I don't think I have, but I'm looking forward to trying out Team 3, which is another game that I think within this genre. And I'm interested to compare the two and find out which I like more. The next game is QE. QE stands for Quantitative Easing. It's an auction bidding game for 3 to 5 players from Board Game Tables. If you're not familiar with Board Game Tables, you should check out their website. Their catalog that does not contain board games. Well, it does in the latter part. But the main thing they are selling are beautiful board game tables that I just drool on. I dream to have a beautiful table from Board Game Tables. I just don't know how to get it here. And also, I don't have the space for it, obviously. Anyway, back to the game. In this game, players are playing as central banks of different countries. During the game, different kinds of corporations will be auctioned off, representing corporations from different countries, of different industries, and of different sizes. On each turn, there will be a lead player who will determine the starting bid for that corporation. Other players will also bid for that corporation. Players have unlimited amount of money, and the highest bid wins the corporation, including the lead player. So it can be that everyone bid lower than the lead player, even though they saw how much that bid amount was. Players also get bonuses for bidding 0 on that turn. And then scores come from the corporations you obtained, while bonuses are awarded for nationalization, meaning you got corporations of your country, diversification, you got different types of corporations, and monopolization, you got the same type of corporation but in varying sizes. So the corporations you want will vary depending on what bonus you're going for, because you can't go for everything. Players with the most points wins, but the biggest caveat, which is unique to this game, is that the player who bid the most money immediately gets disqualified to win. So I really enjoyed this game. I think I am enjoying the auction bidding games recently. I love the fact that you cannot math it completely because there are many missing information. For example, you don't know the bid amount of the losers. Actually, you don't know the bid amount of anyone. You only know the bid amount of all the players when you are the lead player. If you're not the lead player for that round, you know the lowest amount that that person who won that corporation bid for, because you know the starting bid amount. Okay? So you can't math it. You don't know if anyone's going to get disqualified. When we played this, everyone was thinking that I was going to get disqualified. But since I was the lead player when Willow won, I knew that he bid a higher amount than I did at some point. So I was able to estimate it, and I was able to pull back at the latter parts, and I didn't get disqualified, and I won. I also enjoy the push and pull of the game when you become the lead player, because you have the ability to jack up the prices so that everyone tries to catch up to you. But if you jack it up too much, then you win that corporation and you pay that amount. I also like the fact that not one player can monopolize the corporations, because eventually they'll get disqualified. So you can't just keep on bidding 1 million, 1 million, 1 million. I also love the components in this game. It should be expected because of the price, which is 2,000 pesos for just a small bidding game. The finish of the dry erase boards and the personal player board, they're all so nice. It could have been cheaper, in my opinion, and therefore more accessible to everyone, but you don't feel shortchanged by the components. Honestly, they could have made it in a piece of paper, but I don't think it's in line with what Board Games Table is, which is the premium quality board game tables, and therefore their board games also have to be premium quality. So, as opposed to Pappy Winchester, which I talked about last episode, I think I like Pappy Winchester more. This game, QE, is a more intense kind of auction where there should be more math in your head. Pappy Winchester is just bidding fun because the total money that you have in your hand plus your bonuses, that's your score. Here, you have to think about the corporations that you're getting. So QE is more thinky. Pappy Winchester is just, I want to outbid you this turn. It's just that. Pappy Winchester is also cheaper. It's 1,400. It has funner components. They're more colorful. There's a boat. It's more cartoony. But still, I very much enjoyed QE. In my opinion, there is a room for both in your collection. Especially if you like auction bidding games, there is room for both in your collection because Pappy Winchester is more of a closed economy kind of bidding, while this one is the unlimited economy kind of bidding. So definitely room for both in your collection. The next game is Cat Lady. Cat Lady is a card drafting set collection game for 2 to 4 players from AEG. In this game, players are playing as cat ladies that collects cats. I think so. They were kind of vague at that point. Are they spinsters? I don't know. On each turn, a player drafts a set of 3 cards from a 3x3 grid that's laid out in front of you. and that row or column will be refilled but cannot be chosen by the succeeding player. In drafting, you're trying to collect different things, but mainly cats. Cats will give you points, and some cats are even worth variable points depending on the other cats or the next cats that you collect. You can also get food to feed your cats at the end of the game, and each unfed cat not only does not score you points, but are also worth deductions. You can also collect other things like catnip, food, toys, costumes, etc., and they all score differently, as well as other one-shot cards that don't score you points, but can be used during the game. That's it. At the end of the game, or when the cards run out, the person with the most points wins. I must say that this game killed Sushi Go for me. Sushi Go was one of the most popular gateway games when I started gaming, but I prefer this over that. Sushi Go plays with more players, especially Sushi Go Party. I think the base one goes up to 6, and Sushi Go Party goes up to 8. This one only goes up to 4. And while having a bigger game group is good, it's not necessarily a must-have for drafting games, so I think I'm okay with the 2 to 4 players of Cat Lady. I would prefer it to be up to 5 because I think that's the most common number for game groups. Well, for me at least. But I'm okay with the 2 to 4. I just like the way the draft is here, where all the cards are laid out in front of you and you know what you're missing out on. But at the same time, new cards will be laid out as soon as a row or column is drafted. Unlike in Sushi Go, wherein you just have a set that's shuffled amongst all the players and you don't even know what you're missing out on, right? Here, all the information is present. It's also easier to teach for some reason, especially as opposed to Sushi Go Party, where there are more cards to explain as you expand or alter the base set. Here, it's really just different types of stuff. You have toys, you have costumes. How do they score? These are cats. How do they score? How do you feed them? That's it. So this is a great filler game, something you can even take out when you have 2 players and just go back and forth. This and Point Salad are probably my favorite filler games as of now. They're both drafting, but one is Point Salady, while the other is straight up set collection. The next game is Inish. Inish is a card drafting area-controlled area movement game for 2 to 4 players from Matago. In Inish, a player wins by fulfilling one of 3 different victory conditions. First is be the leader or have more clan figures in territories containing at least 6 of your opponent's clans. It doesn't have to be one particular opponent, it can be a mix. Number 2, be present in at least 6 different territories. Or number 3, be in territories that contain at least 6 sanctuaries. So you only have to fulfill one of these 3 victory conditions. How you achieve these victory conditions is the whole game. Each round, players will draft cards until they have a set of 4. They play this one by one, where they can add more clan figures on the board, move their clan figures to adjacent territories, build structures like the sanctuary, and other special actions. They can also initiate a clash with other clans. Clash of the Clans. They also get special actions from territories that they are leaders of, meaning they have more clan figures than everyone else. Then they are automatically the leader and they get the special action of that territory. What's interesting about this game is you can also get deeds that lets you discount the 6 in the victory conditions and the fact that you need to declare it if you're about to win. So this game is so good. I can't think of anything that plays like it. It's like a hardcore area movement, then area control or typical dudes on a map type of game. The fighting is just a means to an end, and you have to have specific reasons why you want to fight with someone. Maybe they're about to win. Or maybe you really just need to get into that territory. Or maybe you need to be the leader. But it doesn't necessarily happen all the time. Now that I've played Inish, I can definitely say that Kemet is my least favorite out of the whole trilogy. In fact, I have sold Kemet, and I will be keeping both Inish and Cyclades. Kemet just feels like a game that I already own. If I want that feeling, I would rather play Game of Thrones more. Cyclades feels more like a civilization building game, plus I really like the theme because I'm a fan of Greek mythology. And Inish is more of an area movement game using clever card play. So it's really not, it doesn't feel like a dudes on a map game. Components are great. As with the rest of the trilogy, I enjoy the unique clan figures. The cards were big and had great artwork. And I love the modular board with a weird shape. It's definitely a game that will be staying in my collection. I don't regret letting go of Kemet at this point, and I'm very happy with these two games from the trilogy. The next game is Love Letter 2nd Edition. Love Letter is a hand management game for 2 to 6 players from Z-Man Games. Used to be from AEG, but it got sold to Z-Man Games. In this game, you're all trying to deliver a letter to Princess Annette, and the player who gets closest to the princess wins. The official way to play this game is a player wins once they collect 4 love tokens. A player gets love tokens by either being the last player remaining in the round or having the higher card when the deck runs out. Or you can also now, in the 2nd edition, you also get love tokens when you play more spies than all other players. So on each turn, all players hold 1 card each, and the players take turns drawing a card and playing a card. The cards played have different powers or synergies. Some lets you look at another player's cards, protect you from actions, lets you compare your cards, etc. The notable ones are the guards, which lets you guess the card of another player, and if you guess correctly, they are eliminated. The Contessa, if you have it and you draw a king or a prince, you must discard the Contessa, so it can be a way to bluff, because people will think that you have the king or the prince, but maybe you don't. The princess is the highest card, but if at any time you have to discard the princess, you immediately are eliminated. So play just proceeds in this manner until either the deck runs out or all other players are eliminated. When the round ends and someone has 4 love tokens, that player wins. The 2nd edition added 2 new cards. The Spy, which is number 0. As I said earlier, if you played more spies than everyone else, then you get a love token. The Chancellor is number 6, and the Chancellor is like the ambassador in Coup, because you get to draw 2 cards and you keep 1, you place everything else at the bottom of the deck. The 2nd edition also bumped up the player count from 2 to 4 to 2 to 6. So I mentioned this before. This is my favorite version of Love Letter. I played 1st edition to death and sold premium edition. Although it was really nice, if you play with more than 4, it gets too long, and it's hard to remember the different characters because there are 2 characters for each number. You also can't carry it around in your pocket. Although the cards were very nice, it also came with its own sleeves. You can't carry it around in your pocket, and that's the whole point of Love Letter for me. I'm so happy that this version is out because it gives a breath of fresh air to a classic game. And it also maintains that pocketability aspect of the game. I brought it out of town. Recently, I brought it to Baguio with me, and it was so good. You can just play it in a restaurant, play it in the hotel room. It's very quick and easy, but still it feels satisfying. I also have to say that I enjoy playing Love Letter with 2 players. I really prefer to play it this way. I love the back and forth aspect of the game. And you just go back and forth trying to guess the other player. And you feel so satisfied. You feel so victorious whenever you guess the card of the other player. The next game is Silver and Gold. Silver and Gold is a roll and write game for 2 to 4 players from Pandasaurus Games. So this game is actually a flip and write where cards are drawn indicating different polyomino pieces. These polyomino pieces must be marked on the 2 cards in front of the players. Once all the squares in a card are marked off, these cards are treasure maps, I think. Once all of the squares in the card is marked off, the card is completed and discarded in a personal discard pile, and a new one is drawn by the player. Certain parts of the treasure map have special powers. An extra X, palm trees that you can score, and coins that you can collect. Coins are worth the total number of coins collected, plus certain bonuses depending on whether you're the first one to complete a certain row of coins in your personal board. It's hard to visualize it, but if you just look at the picture, you'll get it. Treasure maps can also provide bonuses for specific types of treasure maps. So for example, your green treasure map has an emblem saying that all your other orange treasure maps have plus 2 points. So after 4 rounds, all scores are added from the treasure maps. all bonuses, and the player with the most points wins. So I love this game. Obviously, it's not a surprise. I love roll and write games. This is like Second Chance with more interaction. I said before that Second Chance felt like it was a multiplayer solitaire, but I still enjoyed it. This one doesn't feel like a solitaire game because it has more interaction. It also has more bonuses and more ways to score. I really enjoy the frantic score as many possible treasure maps and make your bonuses coherent for maximum points. I enjoy that. I enjoy that about the game. I also like the fact that if you're not able to mark off the polyomino piece because it has to fit, you can opt to just tick off one square, which can have a bonus, so the move is still significant. For example, I can only tick off one square, but that square has an X that makes me tick off another X, or makes me score palm trees, so it's still significant. Best thing about this small box is that the cards are already dry erase marker ready. But of course, I still sleeve them. I don't know, I get scared that I won't be able to erase it at some point, and I'm scared to have marks on the cards. So I just leave them. I used Sultan sleeves because the Sultan sleeves are just premium feel and they're white. They don't have a tinge of yellow like the Mayday ones. The game also comes with Faber-Castell dry erase markers. I think I've read somewhere, I heard it in a podcast that Faber-Castell are the best dry erase markers. It doesn't come with their own erasers, but that's fine. You can just use a tissue. So this is a strong contender for my favorite roll and write game. I think I need to make a top 10 by now. It feels more like Welcome to, which admittedly is not in my top 3, I think. But maybe it will at some point. Because I'm getting a bit tired with let's make a bus route. We'll see. The next game is Space Base. Space Base is a dice rolling tableau building for 2 to 5 players from AEG. This game is super simple. It's basically a race to 40 points. On your tableau, you have a set of starting cards that have numbers and rewards. You roll 2 dice on your turn, and depending on the result of the roll, you get the reward under the number. You can also trigger 2 cards or just 1 card, which is the sum of the dice rolled. So it depends on you. Rewards can either be money, planets, or points. Money lets you buy cards in the market, and any money not spent will be lost, so you go back to 0 after every turn. But if you get planets, your money resets to the level of the planets, so it's like your starting money. And the points are self-explanatory because it's a race to 40 points. Now the cards you buy go on your tableau at the number indicated. And the old card, this is the interesting part, the old card goes under your tableau and is switched upside down. The bottom card of the old card indicates another reward that you earn on other people's turn. So very similar to Machikoro. So once player reaches 40 points, the game ends and that player wins immediately. I loved Machikoro when I was starting in this hobby, and I think I like this more than Machikoro base game. With Machikoro, there was the building up thing to 2 dice. Here, you immediately have the option to roll 2 dice, and that's something you don't have to think of anymore. And you also have the option to choose the sum or one of each. In Machikoro, you were left at the mercy of getting a card for the number, but here you already have a starting set. And it's just a matter of improving your tableau. It's more of, so parang level up siya. You have to improve your tableau and not build it from scratch, which was very frustrating when it's your turn, you roll and you don't get anything. Although I do prefer the theme of Machikoro, I like that town building theme, I like the cartoony theme, and I'm not really a fan of space games, but still, this game blew Machikoro base out of the water for me. But I am looking forward to playing Machikoro Legacy, which I also have and will start in the stream this Tuesday. Space Base is just pure fun. It's that kind of game where it's just fun. You're rolling dice, you're getting stuff, and you're buying stuff. It's just fun. I also like it when you get stuff on other people's turns. And you don't automatically get that in Machikoro. Here, when you improve your tableau, you immediately get stuff on other people's turns. The attacks here are also more subdued, which is something I didn't like in Machikoro. And I like that it's a race rather than a typical get more money. There are also one-shot bursts of points, but you basically close off one number in your tableau. So you get, let's say, 10 points, but you close off 5, and therefore, if 5 is rolled on your turn, you don't get anything at all. The next game is Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza. Okay, we'll just call it Taco. Taco is a party game for 2 to 8 players from Blue Orange Games. In this game, each player has a stack of cards that they must flip face up in front of everyone while chanting Taco, Cat, Goat, Cheese, Pizza one by one. If the card flip match the statement, it's a race to tap the card, and the last player to tap gets all the cards flipped for that turn, similar to Hali-Gali. There are also special cards that require specific actions like the gorilla, tap your chest, narwhal, overhead clap, and the squirrel, tap the table twice. If the round ends and there's one player that has flipped all of their cards, that player wins. This game is just so much fun. It's so much fun to race and tap the card. I don't think it has gone bad for anyone yet, at least in the times that I've played it, and I've played it a lot. The only problem that I could think of is that when you have a lot of players, let's say you have 8 players and it's hard for everyone to reach the middle of the table. Pwede rin kayong magkasakitan. This game, I understand, is very, very popular. I tried to buy it from Amazon because it's not yet available here. Hans just brought home a copy. So I saw it in Amazon. There were a couple of units left, but I decided to hold off, sleep on it because it's gonna get here anyway. Gaming Library is gonna get it anyway, so why do I have to buy it now? But then when I woke up, I was still thinking of the game, and so I decided to buy it. But when I got back in Amazon, it was already sold out. That's how popular this game is. It will be available in the Philippines, like I mentioned, from Gaming Library, and I already pre-ordered 3 copies because it's so cheap. It's $4.99. You can give it as a gift, and for sure that person is going to enjoy this game. I have already placed Not So Fast in the call pile because of this game. You don't need any other speed game. This game is super simple to teach, and everyone will enjoy it. Even gamers will enjoy it for sure. The next game is Azul Summer Pavilion. Azul Summer Pavilion is a set collection game for 2 to 4 players from Next Move Games. It's the third in the Azul series, which is a very popular game. The first part of the game is the typical Azul drafting. Get tiles from the same color in a particular spot, put all the other tiles in the center, and place the tiles on your personal board. The spot wherein you place the tile depends on the color of the tile and the number of tiles that you have of that color. So kung dalawa yung tiles mo, you place it on the 2 spot. Also, what's interesting is that per round, there is a wild tile. It's varying, so it's different per round. And you can use the wild tile to supplement the number of tiles you get. So if you only have 2, you can place it on 3 if you have 1 of the wild tiles. You can also close off portions of your board to get some tiles on the free-for-all market. So at the end of 6 rounds, you total the scores you get from placing the tiles on your personal board, and you also get bonuses for completing certain colors or numbers, and the player with the most points wins. I wasn't a big fan of the original Azul game, although I really wanted to like the game because I loved the theme. You're building a Portuguese wall. I love the tiles. I love the patterns on the tiles. And I really wanted to like it. But it felt like the second part of the game, the sliding thing on the wall, it didn't feel so significant. Also, the scoring was kind of flat for me, unlike in Azul Summer Pavilion. Because here, there are different considerations. There, you were kind of stuck. You had to complete it in a certain way to get the most points. So people have been saying that Azul Stained Glass of Sintra is also a good game, but I think Azul Summer Pavilion will be my favorite of the series. And a lot of people are also saying that this is closer to Azul than Azul Stained Glass of Sintra, which was a bit more complex. I wish though that the tiles here had a quirkier pattern, but it's just a minor quibble. And I'm very, very happy that I have Azul Summer Pavilion in my collection, and I can't wait to play it again. The last game is L.L.A.M.A. L.L.A.M.A. L.L.A.M.A is a card game for 2 to 6 players from Amigo. This game was nominated for Spiel des Jahres in 2019, and judging by the fact that it's the last game I'll be talking about, I get why. In this game, you have a hand of cards with cards numbered from 1 to 6 and a L.L.A.M.A card. You can only place cards with the same value or 1 up the last card played. L.L.A.M.A cards are played after 6, and after the L.L.A.M.A card, it resets to 1. If you can't play a card, you have to get a card or you can pass. Once everyone else has passed or someone finishes their cards, you get the total number of your cards' values without counting the multiple ones. Llama cards are worth 10 points, and you get plastic tokens equivalent to the total number. White ones are worth 1, and black ones are worth 10. And then you go again. And when someone reaches 40 points, the player with the least points wins, like in Cabo. If you finish your cards during a round, you get to discard 1 token piece, which can either be a white one or a black one, which is 10 points. So this game is super fun. It's a type of game that you play mindlessly, but it still has enough meat into it to keep you engaged. I like the thinkiness in that moment when you're thinking, do you place a card of the same value or a card of a higher value? But can you sustain that momentum, right? So it's that push and pull that I really like. I also love the moments when you get rid of all your llama cards because they're worth 10 points and you really want to get rid of all of your llama cards. This is a really good game. It's not the next greatest Euro game, but it's definitely worth having in your collection for a filler game, for something that you can bring traveling, something that you can just pull out during lunchtime and play one quick round or maybe two. It's really, really good. I highly suggest getting Llama as soon as it arrives here. So those are the games that I have recently played. Let's now go to our next segment. So I wanted to try something different for this segment. I want to launch a new segment for future episodes of this podcast by asking the question, has board games affected your life in any way? I think it's very interesting hearing about other people's stories, so I wanted to give you guys a platform to get those stories out. We'll call this new segment Board Games Made Me, quote unquote. Okay? I'll start with my story. My story, as I told you guys in episode 1, was I got into board gaming when I was studying for the bar exams, and I wanted a good distraction that wouldn't make my brain idle. That was around 2014 to 2015. And after that, I got so obsessed with it. From then on, I have built my collection, exploring different games, exploring different game mechanics, and they all pick my brain in a good way that doesn't burn it to oblivion. I also enjoy the casual party games with my friends, and I just love introducing the hobby to my non-gamer friends. Before 2019, I didn't have a lot of board gaming friends. It's mostly friends who I have converted. But in 2019, I started this podcast and joined the Gaming Library Curators. So I got to meet new people, and I have loved getting to know the board game community in the Philippines. So, what is my Board Game Made Me statement? So board games has given me a great hobby that I hope would last a lifetime. It's a hobby that gives me so much fun despite my daily grind that is so stressful. But it's a hobby that keeps me thinking in a different manner, and I love that. So because of board games, I have avoided being so consumed with my career and my little world. It has especially helped me last year because it gave me really productive weekends. On weekends, I work on my podcast, I game, and I meet with other people who love board games. So aside from giving me a great hobby, board games has also removed my shell and allowed me to meet some really nice people in the community who share the same interest. I don't think I've ever been involved in a group of people who just share a particular interest. I wasn't in any clubs or groups in college and mostly kept to my group of friends, and we discover hobbies and our interests together, like Left 4 Dead. Here, it's in the reverse, where I share a common interest with a group of people, and that binds us. And I think that's really great. Even with some of the people I am friends with, I find myself spending more time with people I wouldn't normally hang out with because we started playing together. And I love that about board games. So that is my Board Game Made Me story. I thought about this because of an article I read online from dicebreaker.com. If you want to read the article, you can check it out through On Deck's Facebook page. The title of the article is Board Games Form Human Connections in a World That Increasingly Seeks to Sever Them. This article was written by Sian Maher, and it talks about a story when he was in Mumbai and played chess with a stranger who barely knew how to speak English. And though he was annihilated in the game, It paved the way to him getting to know this stranger and a few more other strangers. Because the other strangers understood the game and found it funny how it was hustled by the stranger. And the article delves deeper into how board games connect people and strangers into a universal language of some sort and immerses them into a world of their own because board games are a conversation that anyone can have. And the article just spoke to me and how it has changed me and brought me out of my shell and my own bubble and given me a new world to explore and meet new people who I would normally never meet in the normal course of things. And I love that about this hobby. So, what has board games contributed to your life? It can be something that board games made you do, discover, or changed in your life. I would really love to hear from you guys. You can either send me an audio recording, and you can start with a short introduction of yourself, plus the story, and we will feature it in future episodes. If you don't want to send audio recordings, you can also send me a written account, and I will read it here in the podcast. You can send those to me through email, theboardgamerph@gmail.com, or through Facebook or Instagram. So I hope to hear from you guys. So with that said, let's now go to some feedback from the meeple. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who have been sending me positive feedback. There have been a number of people who will message my personal account or the Board Gamer PH's Instagram account saying that they enjoy the show or that they are looking forward to the next episode. And I must say, you guys, that is very touching and makes all this effort worth it. So thank you very much. Morgan commented on the last episode, There is no Splendor Killer, saying that a lot of so-called Splendor Killers are out nowadays, but I still choose to keep it in my collection. I may not like the game that much, but I like how it draws new people in the hobby. And I think that draw to new people is because of its simplicity. This is me talking now, okay? Which I really love that about Splendor. It has the potential to be a modern classic and something that can be along the lines of Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, or Catan for tried and true gateway games. There are also a couple of people who have asked me questions, and though I've already gotten back to them offline, I'll highlight here some questions I think will also benefit other people. So Ria asked, Hi Glory, can I ask a question? When you buy from Amazon, do you ship it directly or do you use a third-party shipping company? I said I ship it directly as long as it does not exceed 10,000 pesos. 10,000 pesos makes you pay for customs and duties. So Amazon will already collect that. It will still get delivered to you directly, but you'll have to pay extra. So I make sure that if I'm shipping directly, it has to be below 10,000. I tried Johnny Air before because I wanted to get the games fast, but Johnny Air has a different consolidation process. So I think you need to accumulate a number of points or something, or you need another membership tier. So it got shipped separately and I had to pay extra. If it's a big shipment, I use PinoyBoxDelivery.com, but they take 6 to 8 weeks to get here. So yes, you have to increase your EQ. If you're okay waiting for 6 to 8 weeks, I recommend PinoyBoxDelivery.com. You can get from different stores because they do consolidate. So you don't have to just get from Amazon. You can also get from Cool Stuff Inc. You can get from Miniature Market. They consolidate. They keep your box open for 30 days from arrival of the first item. So I actually have a Pinoy Box Delivery box open right now. I'm waiting for something that I backed on Indiegogo. And then after that, I'll be shipping other items. Their site is also very easy to use. They tell you how full your box is. You can also put the tracking number. They'll already track it for you. And you can pay for the box through PayPal. There's also no weight limit. As long as it can be carried by 2 people, the price is fixed. You can upgrade and downgrade the box if you find that you need more or less space. But of course, that said, my advice is still to talk to the stores, the FLGS, and ask if the game you're looking for is coming. If it is, just get it from the FLGS. I bet that if you get the game today, you still won't be able to play it anyway because there are so many games to play. So this is something, I'm not preaching because this is something that I learned the hard way. I kept on buying from Amazon because I felt like I needed the game now. And then, lo and behold, it comes here. And by the time it's here, I still haven't played it. So if you just talk to your FLGS, if they're going to get the game anyway, just just wait for them. But there are still games that you can only buy from Amazon. Sometimes it's usually the older ones. The older ones you can only get from Amazon. There are also stuff that I need now. Like, for example, I have a team building coming up, or I have an upcoming trip or an event. Then I need the game immediately, and I feel like it will be best suited for this particular event. Then I get it from Amazon. I also get my accessories from Amazon. And I will be talking about my favorite board game accessories in a video podcast, so watch out for that. I get them from Amazon mostly because there are not a lot of stores here that carry accessories. Although Geekbox PH, I was able to talk to them. I said that I wanted the Geek Up bits from the Board Game Geek store, and they got it. They got it here. So I got that from them. So check that out too. So let me know if you have any other shipping recommendations for Rhea so that we can get that across. Faye Nativity also asked, "Hi, may I ask what can you recommend for a 2 to 6 board game apart from cooperative games?" I asked what they liked playing so far so I can assess the level of complexity they are comfortable with and if they would like to step up. She said that she is looking for a meatier game and that they enjoy Takinoko, Avalon, and Ticket to Ride. So I suggested a worker placement game as a step up. I think Viticulture goes up to 6, I said. It also plays well with 2 or more players. Also try Downforce and Camel Up for racing, betting, and Tiny Towns because Tiny Towns goes up to 6. And I think it still goes well with 6 people because you're doing something on other people's turns. So this was a while back, so now I would probably add Welcome To as a good roll and write game that fits this category. I would also suggest Point Salad, but she's looking for a meatier game and Point Salad is more in the filler category. So if you guys have any questions for me or thoughts about the episode, you can reach me through email at theboardgamerph@gmail.com, Facebook through OnDeck's Facebook account, and Instagram at theboardgamerph. And I will get back to you offline and maybe even talk about it in a future show. And that is going to wrap up another jam-packed episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you like this episode and the show in general, please do share it to someone you think will like it too. If not, you can also subscribe to us in whatever podcatcher you're using, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Overcast. And if you have been with us since episode 1, thank you. A review would always be appreciated. Don't forget I have a live stream with the good folks of Gaming Library every Tuesday night where we stream our game night. Thank you for listening, everyone. I'll catch you guys again next time. Happy gaming!